I've prepared about a 30-minute statement in order to address the more information that I said I would provide due to the time constraints. As a part of my exercising and achieving self-awareness and my own self-treatment, in pursuit of self-actualization in an effort to suit my own needs according to Maslow, in an attempt to expand a higher awareness and an ability to serve all of humanity as an altruist, I've chosen to write a story of my own life, where I'm my own great hero, living my life to its highest potential and beyond limitations, per the ideas presented in the documentary, Finding Joe. The hero of the story is an idea named the Voice of Antifa, which stands for those who cannot stand for themselves, mostly because he cannot stand for himself, because he is afraid of being repeatedly violated by an invisible enemy. He fights this fear. This idea is big and strong and forever slaying mobs, dancing upon the battlefield while he slays enemies endlessly, just embracing the waves of foes. Et tu, Brute! No one can fight forever. From those ashes rose something new. For better or worse, it was. The ground shook as flaming meteors from the sky exploded the earth around him, running between explosions for years. The wrath of Anti was born, burning in his own bile. Cancer likely, paralysis repeating, continued trauma, death approached. One last fight, crawling to the knee, loving and valuing self enough to give it everything he has. The story is my fight, and I, Robert Emerson, am the voice of Antifa. I come before this board today in testimony of a global threat to our freedom and liberty, to identify our common enemy. Our country is divided and locked in blame, while our enemy snickers in our confusion, flaunting obvious statement of intention, sideways, giving us all the middle finger. What will we do as a people? I do not know, but I have humbly decided to offer my service to our people, as I have involved us all, including yesterday, in requesting whistleblower protection through the Harris Campaign website. It is my belief, due to the degree of shared understanding, that Kamala and I could work together in a new kind of war on terrorism, that we can understand a mutual agreement and prosecute with skill and imagination. Unfortunately, due to the greed of the people and their willingness to deceive and betray their neighbors, some Americans are guilty of using the tools of our common enemy to steal from their neighbors. Nearly all Americans guilty of this can be identified by IP trace or logins with modern techniques. Many arrogant players believe VPN and other technologies conceal them, but I know from my former NSA contact, this is not true, and all can be detected. Once the betrayers of our people are identified and isolated and constrained, it is my belief that many of our internal enemies can be quieted to immediately provide safety and security within the borders of our nation. In my opinion, with this revelation, there is sufficient evidence to ignore the vote and call for Congress to immediately pass legislation enabling wartime voting. What is most important to our nation is to preserve the integrity of our democracy. It is better to have an election right more than it is to have one that is prompt. Power can be shared in the interim per legislative agreement. I do not know. I can only imagine this is for the solution for the people that do know. Dedicated to the late Representative John Lewis and his efforts to expand voting rights, I propose cell phone app voting with MAC address hardware and thumbprint as unique identifiers. I've chosen to work with Kamala because, above all, she can appreciate human rights and is a champion in her own right. It is my belief that her and I, working together, can find common ground to define and hunt our internal enemy. Now I'll make direct appeal to the Commander-in-Chief. Hello, sir. Sir, excellent work holding the line. Your ability to withstand sustained fire is admirable, and even when there is fog all around us, my testimony and succeeding investigations can clear this fog, revealing a clear and present danger to the freedom and liberty worldwide. This bitter infighting is the invisible enemy at work, weakening our people by destroying the strongest among us and those capable of working together to defend America, using circular logic as their weapon of choice to assault the minds of those that seek to control with madness. Your own presidency was affected in this war and your impeachment. A bunch of people below you going ape shit, and all of a sudden that's your fucking fault just because they're going ape shit. What the hell is that shit? This is the force of our invisible enemy. They have nearly stolen American executive power. Sir, I once called for Commissar